One question can bring you back to what anchors you, to the principles that steady your breath when everything feels uncertain, to the quiet truth you've been living by, even if you never stopped to name it. Welcome to One Question, a short, weekly reflection to help you reconnect with your body, your values, and your truth. This week's question is, what do I value deeply? Most people I coach think they know their values. They'll say, oh, that goes against my values, when something makes them uncomfortable. And when I ask, what are your values? There's usually a long pause. Sometimes they'll name something broad like honesty or kindness, and sometimes they'll say, I don't know, I just know it when I see it. I hear that a lot. I'll know it when I see it. But here's the thing. Our values aren't something we recognize by accident. They're something that we define on purpose. Values are the quiet agreements we make with ourselves about what matters most, how we treat people, how we lead, how we love, and what we refuse to compromise. They're not abstract ideas. They're the compass we use to navigate our choices, even when we don't realize we're using it. Psychologists call this values clarification. It's a cornerstone of self-awareness and resilience work. In one Stanford study, people who reflected on their values before facing a stressful task had lower physiological stress responses. Why? Because clarity creates calm. When you know what you stand for, you don't need to brace for every possibility. You're anchored from within. For me, my core values are curiosity, courage, connection, and personal agency. And when I find myself in a business meeting or even in a family conversation that makes me feel defensive, impatient, or just off, that's my cue to pause. That uneasy feeling almost always points to one of those values being rubbed the wrong way. Maybe curiosity is being replaced by certainty. Maybe courage is being drowned out by fear. Maybe connection is missing because people are performing instead of being real. Or maybe agency, that ability to choose and act freely, is being stifled or stolen. When I trace that discomfort back to which value is being challenged, everything starts to make sense. It gives me space to decide. Do I need to speak up, set a boundary, change my environment? That reflection helps me stay in integrity with myself, even when the situation around me isn't. Brené Brown says we can't live into our values if we can't name them, and I think she's absolutely right. Because when we don't name our values, we end up living by someone else's, absorbing the expectations of work, culture, or family instead of consciously choosing our own. Living outside of your values doesn't always look dramatic. It often feels like a quiet ache or a low hum of disconnection. You're doing everything right, but something inside feels wrong. Your body usually knows before your mind admits it. Sociologist Shalom Schwartz identified 10 broad categories of values that exist across all cultures. Things like benevolence, achievement, security, and self-direction. We all hold a mix of these, but what defines us is the order we put them in. Because when two values collide, say freedom and security or truth and belonging, the hierarchy shows us who we really are. What wins out in those moments tells the truth of our character far more than any list on paper. When I begin working with new coaching clients, I often start with a values exercise, partly because it helps me understand what truly matters to them, what drives their decisions, what drains their energy, what lights them up. But it also gives us a shared language to return to throughout our work together. When something feels off or confusing later in the process, we can come back to those values. Where might this value be out of alignment? More often than not, the answer is right there. If you want to uncover your own values, start here. Think about the moments when you have felt the most alive or proud. What was happening? What were you honoring in yourself? Then think about the moments that you felt the most frustrated or hurt. What was being violated? Your joy and your pain are both breadcrumbs leading you back to what truly matters. Write those words down, define them, and then practice them. And how you speak, how you work, how you love, and how you rest. Values aren't meant to be ideas we admire. They're meant to be lived in, tested, and refined over time, like well-worn shoes that carry us where we most want to go. And also remember, values evolve. What mattered most to you 10 years ago might not hold the same power now. That's not inconsistency, it's growth. Each season of life invites you to ask again, what do I value deeply now? Because when your choices, relationships, and energy all align with your deepest values, life stops being about performance and starts feeling like belonging to yourself. If this one question tugged at you, don't turn away. That quiet discomfort might be your integrity trying to get your attention. The truth has probably been waiting under the noise, under the expectations, and under the pressure to keep going. It's up to you whether you pause long enough to hear it. So, what do you value deeply? That's the question. I'll see you next week. Until then, honor your truth, trust your body, and keep asking better questions.